Martha never imagined that one day she would find herself in this situation. At 42 years old, a single mother of two, she worked as a cashier at a supermarket in Dallas, Texas. Her monthly salary of just over $2,500 barely covered basic expenses, and her credit card had become an indispensable tool for paying unexpected bills. Every month, the interest kept growing, and the debt swelled like a hungry monster. The warning signs were everywhere: overdue rent, relentless calls from debt collectors, the constant stress of checking her bank statement. Like many low-income American families, she found herself trapped in a cycle of debt, unsure of how to escape. The numbers confirmed what Martha was experiencing firsthand. According to Federal Reserve data, about 60% of Americans would not be able to cover a $500 emergency expense without relying on credit or a loan. Among those earning less than $30,000 a year, that number rises to 75%. Bankruptcy doesn't happen all at once. It is a slow, almost imperceptible process. First, small late payments on bills. Then, the need to take out a loan to cover another debt. Soon, interest eats up a significant portion of the budget, and the only apparent solution is accumulating more debt. That was exactly what happened to Martha. At first, the small delays seemed harmless. She missed a credit card payment once and paid the late fee the following month. But then came a bigger problem. Her car broke down, and the repair cost $1,200. Without an emergency fund, she had to put it on her credit card. The high interest rates quickly pushed the total to over $1,500. Within a few months, she was using one credit card to pay off another, stepping into a dangerous cycle. Personal bankruptcy is silent, and the first step to avoiding it is recognizing it before it's too late. Martha's problem wasn't a lack of work. She worked 40 hours a week, sometimes even taking extra shifts, but the cost of living in the United States had skyrocketed. Rent, food, everything had become more expensive. Financial experts point out that one of the main reasons Americans go bankrupt isn't laziness or poor money management, but rather the combination of low wages and high fixed costs. According to a CNBC report, 63% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck with no financial safety net. To avoid bankruptcy, the first step is admitting the need for change and recognizing the warning signs. Martha realized she had to act before it was too late. She started analyzing her expenses, cutting out everything that wasn't essential, and looking for ways to increase her income. But would that be enough? How could she prevent others from falling into the same financial trap? Martha spent weeks trying to reorganize her finances, but every solution seemed temporary. That's when she decided to seek professional help. She scheduled a free consultation with a financial advisor from a nonprofit organization that helped low-income individuals regain control of their finances. In the very first conversation, he pointed out a common problem among the American working class: the lack of a structured budget. If you don't know where your money is going, you'll never be able to control it, he said. That was the first step, understanding her finances in detail. Studies from U.S. banks show that only 41% of Americans use a monthly budget. This means that most people spend without proper planning, relying only on the available balance in their bank accounts. The advisor guided Martha to list all her fixed and variable expenses, categorizing each expenditure. When she put everything on paper, she realized the impact of seemingly harmless small purchases. The daily coffee on her way to work, the convenience of ordering food, and the accumulated bank fees over the month represented a significant portion of her budget. Small cuts in these expenses could make a big difference. However, cutting expenses alone would not be enough. According to data from the American Bankruptcy Institute, one of the biggest reasons for bankruptcy in the United States is the inability to handle financial emergencies. Without an emergency fund, any unexpected event turned into a crisis. The advisor recommended that Martha start building an emergency fund, no matter how small. Even if you can save just $10 per week, by the end of the year, you'll have at least $500, which is already a good start, he explained. Martha realized that she needed to change her mindset about money. Instead of just surviving month to month, she had to start preparing for the future. Another crucial point was debt repayment. The average credit card interest rate in the U.S. exceeded 20%, making debt accumulation a serious issue. The advisor introduced two common strategies for eliminating debt: the snowball method and the avalanche method. In the first approach, a person pays off the smaller debts first to gain motivation, while in the second, they prioritize debts with higher interest rates to reduce overall costs. Martha chose the latter, as she wanted to minimize the amount of interest she would pay over time. Despite the challenges, Martha started seeing progress. Small adjustments made a big difference in her budget. Cutting unnecessary expenses, building an emergency fund, and adopting an aggressive debt repayment strategy gave her a new sense of control. But there was still a problem. Her salary remained the same. If she wanted to ensure long-term financial stability, she needed to find ways to increase her income. But how could she do that without compromising the little time she already had? The answer lay in the strategies that ordinary people had used to climb out of bankruptcy. Now, Martha needed to learn from those who had transformed their financial situations and discovered new ways to prosper. The next step would be to understand what options were available for someone looking for extra income or a career change. But where should she start? Determined to increase her income without compromising even more of her time, Martha began studying the options available for people in her situation. One of the first suggestions from the financial advisor was to look for a side job, but Martha knew she couldn't take on more shifts without sacrificing time with her children. That's when she started exploring ways to earn extra income that wouldn't require her constant physical presence. The American economy had witnessed a significant rise in the number of self-employed and freelance workers in recent years. According to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 36% of the U.S. workforce was already working independently by 2023. Platforms like Upwork and Fiverr offered opportunities for people with specific skills, ranging from writing to graphic design. Martha, who had always been good at organization and planning, found a demand for virtual assistants and began applying for small administrative tasks that she could complete from home. Additionally, Martha explored the possibility of monetizing her hobbies and personal interests. Many Americans had found success selling handmade products on Etsy or reselling items on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. She decided to test the waters by reselling used clothing and refurbished electronics, researching local suppliers and learning pricing strategies. Within a few months, this extra income began supplementing her budget, reducing her reliance on credit cards. Another promising avenue was participating in cashback and rewards programs. Many banks and financial apps offered cashback for everyday purchases, which, although seemingly small, accumulated over time. Martha reorganized her payments to maximize these benefits, ensuring that every purchase was made with a strategic purpose. However, the real turning point came when Martha started investing in her own professional development. She realized that, to secure a more stable financial future, she needed to increase her value in the job market. With the help of free resources such as online courses offered by platforms like Coursera and Khan Academy, she began learning about digital marketing and data analysis. These skills opened new doors for higher-paying remote jobs, allowing her to boost her income without sacrificing flexibility. The stories of others who had been through similar situations served as a great source of encouragement for Martha. Many low-income workers had managed to transform their finances by finding alternative income sources and investing in their professional growth. Now, with a stronger foundation, Martha was determined not just to avoid bankruptcy, but to build a financially secure future. But there was still one crucial aspect that needed to be addressed. How could she avoid the mistakes that had led to her initial financial crisis? The next step would be to understand the importance of financial literacy and how to incorporate it into everyday life. With an extra source of income established and a new professional outlook, Martha realized that her journey to financial stability was still not complete. Many Americans, even after overcoming financial crises, end up making the same mistakes again due to a lack of personal finance knowledge. She decided that to truly change her situation, she needed to master financial education and apply it to her daily life. The lack of financial literacy was a structural issue in the United States. A study by the National Financial Educators Council revealed that 57% of Americans could not correctly answer basic financial questions. This explained why so many people accumulated credit card debt, lacked an emergency fund, and did not invest for the future. Martha knew she needed to understand the fundamentals of budgeting, investing, and financial planning to avoid falling into the same traps of the past. She started by learning about the concept of pay yourself first, setting aside money for savings and investments before covering any other expenses. This principle, advocated by financial experts like Dave Ramsey and Sue Zorman, emphasizes the importance of reserving a percentage of one's income before paying bills and daily expenses. Applying this rule, Martha created a system where she automatically transferred 10% of her earnings into a savings account as soon as she received her paycheck. Another crucial concept was understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. Many people went into debt purchasing things that, in reality, did not add long-term financial value. Inspired by the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, Martha began prioritizing investments that could generate passive income, such as fixed income bonds and index funds, ETFs. instead of spending on non-essential items. Additionally, Martha learned the importance of avoiding common financial pitfalls, such as long-term loans with high interest rates and the irresponsible use of credit. Studies from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau showed that the average credit card interest rate in the U.S. exceeded 20%, making it one of the leading causes of excessive debt. To avoid this, she implemented a strategy of using credit strategically only when necessary and always paying the full statement balance. As her financial knowledge expanded, Martha felt that she finally had control over her financial life. But there was still one essential step: ensuring that her extra income and investments worked in her favor in the long run. It was time to explore advanced wealth-building strategies and sustainable financial planning. What would be the best path to consolidate this new phase and ensure she never had to face a financial crisis again? Martha had managed to climb out of financial hardship and establish a solid foundation, but she knew that to ensure a truly secure future, she needed to expand her income sources and invest wisely. Many Americans who escape financial crises end up struggling again because they fail to create a system for continuous growth. She decided that now was the time to learn about extra income strategies and smart investments. The first step was understanding the concept of passive income. Unlike active income, which requires direct time and effort, passive income allows money to flow in continuously after an initial investment of time or capital. Martha studied different ways to generate this type of income, including real estate investments, stock dividends, and digital product creation. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% of American households already rely on some form of passive income, reinforcing her decision to pursue this path. Investing in stable company stocks and index funds was one of the strategies Martha decided to adopt. She discovered that, historically, the U.S. stock market has an average annual return of 7 to 10%, making it a viable option for long-term wealth building. Using commission-free brokerage firms like Vanguard and Fidelity, she began buying ETFs that tracked the S&P 500, ensuring natural diversification and reducing risk. Additionally, she started researching REITs, real estate investment trusts, which allow investors to participate in the real estate market without purchasing physical properties. This strategy provided consistent returns and, in many cases, recurring dividends that served as supplementary income. Beyond the financial markets, Martha explored the digital economy. With the rise of e-commerce and content creation, she realized she could develop digital products, such as ebooks and online courses, based on her own financial experiences. Platforms like Gumroad and Teachable enabled her to distribute these materials, generating a new revenue stream without requiring significant upfront investment. At the same time, she studied digital marketing and SEO strategies to increase her online visibility, ensuring that her content reached the right audience. Another strategy Martha used was leveraging the real estate market. Even without the capital to buy properties, she learned about short-term rental arbitrage through platforms like Airbnb. By finding investors willing to purchase properties, she managed third-party rentals in exchange for a commission, creating another income source. This model, known as rental arbitrage, was rapidly growing among entrepreneurs who lacked the funds to acquire their own properties. Over time, she gained a deeper understanding of real estate market cycles and began planning a future investment in long-term rental properties. In addition to income and investment strategies, Martha knew that ensuring her financial security was sustainable was crucial. To achieve this, she delved into tax planning and expense optimization. She learned that many people lose money simply by not taking advantage of tax deductions and government incentives. She started consulting professionals in the field to ensure she was legally minimizing her tax burden and maximizing her earnings. Another crucial aspect was building a robust financial reserve. Martha expanded her emergency fund to cover at least 6 months of expenses, ensuring she was prepared for any unexpected situations. According to financial experts, this reserve is essential for avoiding debt during crises. With greater stability, she began thinking long-term, planning her retirement and exploring options like IRA and 401k accounts to take advantage of government tax benefits. With these new strategies in place, Martha saw her income grow significantly without increasing her exhausting workload. However, to ensure her financial stability remained intact, she needed to learn how to maintain this growth sustainably. Now, her focus was on consolidating her gains and guaranteeing she would never have to worry about financial crises again. But what would be the final steps to securing a truly safe future? Martha had learned how to generate extra income, invest strategically, and create a sustainable financial system. However, She knew that the journey to financial security did not end there. Building a sustainable future required continuous planning, adapting to new economic circumstances, and a constant commitment to financial education. Her next step was to ensure that her wealth was protected and that her family was also prepared to face financial challenges. One of the first measures Martha took was securing a well-structured retirement plan. While many Americans rely solely on Social Security, she knew this was not a dependable strategy. According to data from the Social Security Administration, the average government retirement benefit covers only 40% of a worker's pre-retirement salary, which is not enough to maintain the same standard of living. To avoid this trap, Martha increased her contributions to her 401k account and opened a Roth IRA, ensuring that her money would grow efficiently while being protected from future taxes. Another essential factor in her financial security was investment diversification. Martha understood that relying on a single income source or investment could be risky. She spread her capital across different asset types, including stocks, real estate funds, government bonds, and even international investments. Studies from Vanguard show that diversified portfolios have much greater resilience against economic downturns than those concentrated in a single sector. By doing this, Martha significantly reduced her risk and ensured more stable financial growth. Beyond investments, asset protection became a priority. Martha purchased life insurance to ensure that her children would be financially secure in case anything unexpected happened. Additionally, she invested in disability insurance to protect her ability to generate income in case of a health issue. Many Americans underestimate the importance of these types of insurance, but studies show that an illness or accident can push a family into bankruptcy within months if they lack proper protection. Another fundamental step was teaching her children about financial literacy. Martha knew that building wealth would be meaningless if her family didn't know how to manage it. She started involving them in discussions about budgeting, investing, and financial planning. Research indicates that children who receive financial education early on are much more likely to avoid debt and build wealth throughout their lives. To facilitate this, she used educational games, books, and apps that teach financial concepts in an accessible way. With all these strategies in place, Martha finally felt that she was on the right path. She had not only avoided bankruptcy, but also built a financially secure future for herself and her family. Her journey demonstrated that, regardless of income level, financial stability is achievable through discipline, planning, and continuous learning. Now, with her wealth growing and her security ensured, she could finally live with peace of mind, knowing she was prepared for any economic challenge that might arise.